What's up, guys? Jason Payne, your host of the Sexy Business Status Podcast. I am here with a spicy Texan and a friend of mine who I've been on her podcast. We have a lot of the same names, a lot of the same circles, and we just like to freaking high energy, and we love to win. We love to help people, and those are the kind of people that I like to bring on to the podcast to share that love, share the energy, share the inspiration, and kick you in the teeth at the same time. and then give you a hug. So, ladies and gentlemen, my friend Tiffany Rosenbaum, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jason.
Dude,
I'm excited.
It is wild. The stuff we were talking before pressing record is like I just want to literally just and go press reverse and rewind and redo it. Dakota, you know how to do that? Let's figure out make that happen. But like we were just talking about it right now. I'm gonna jump into this hard. So demographics, I always just run it every once in a while, but the last episode we did 95% men and 28 to 44 years old.
Okay.
So like mega demographics, like hard, was totally cool. Like I don't care either way, but it's funny because that's who I coach. That's who I am. And it's like, oh, it's funny that's who I should attract because that's what I'm talking about. So that's kind of blue collar, small business owners, male, 28 to 45-ish.
Which is actually a really strong age and actually a struggle. I'm going to call it a struggle bus age because either if there's young entrepreneurs, they're struggling, they're trying to figure out what they're doing. And then around 40 is when you really start getting it a lot of times. So I like it.
Or they've been freaking hitting their head up against the wall for the past 15 years and they're like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like help. Yeah. And the boomers don't listen to podcasts and the boomers are selling or getting bought out anyway. So they're not listening. And they're like, what does this stupid, 35-year-old kid have anything to teach me? And I'm like, probably nothing.
Actually, a lot.
With that ego.
What's funny is the boomers are selling. I'm actually closing on a business this month. I'm so excited.
Congrats.
But it's because of that. And they are selling. So if you're not looking at businesses, you should be 100%.
It's wild. And for like pennies on the dollar. Because what they're selling, they're not selling businesses. They're selling high-paid jobs. And that's why you can scoop them up for cheap. Because they lack processes and infrastructure and systems and all that stuff. And so it's when that boomer dies, right? In the stereotype, obviously, when that boomer dies, like their business dies. That's why it's not worth anything. Instead of like with Tommy Mello, right? One of my good buddies.
Yeah.
I teach this, preach this. I love this. Turn your phone off, put it on airplane mode, put it in your nightstand and go out of town for 30 days. No iPad, no laptop, no cell phone. Nobody can get a hold of you. You have to use your husband's or my wife's cell phone to talk to anybody. You take your whole family with you. You disappear. You go to Hawaii, go to San Diego, don't go to Tucson ever, but go to Flagstaff, right? For 30 days. Go back to Texas, right? Go back to your house, your homeland there for 30 days and come back and what happens? Most boomers, stereotypically, their company is gone.
A lot of them would be.
Yeah. Or they're in deep shit when they get back, right? Yeah. And so the whole goal is to not have that kind of a business plan or a business model to where like you need those processes, you need those systems, you need that CRM, and you need a team of people. You can have automation, you need to have automation, but you need to have people as well to be able to hold down the fort in every department of your business, big or small, blue collar or not, to not if but when you leave and go on vacation. Like I have a funeral on Saturday, right? And if it was during the week, somebody like, dude, like, oh my gosh, like, I joke with my dad. It's so funny and literally the epitome of what we're talking about right now. So my dad has been doing flooring for 40 years, right? Literally, like, I think
that's a long time for flooring.
Yes, he hasn't been doing the work.
Oh, okay. I'm like, that's neat.
Yeah. I mean, I think he did it for probably the first 5 or 10 years, but he's been, the business owner and whatnot. But we were talking about how back in the day, probably 10 years ago, when I was actually working for my uncle, but the load that was on me was I couldn't just like take off for a week and like leave my phone. I had to like take work with me, even though I wasn't the owner. But my dad and I would joke, be like, cool, hey, ready to put in 100 hours this week before we go on vacation, and then like put out any crazy fires, and then we get back, put in another 100 hours when we get back, trying to fix everything that broke or went wrong or whatever. And I'm like, dude, that's the American dream. That is a freaking nightmare. Nothing about that screams American dream to me.
No, have you read the EOS Life? So it's very similar. And traction for businesses.
Traction, yep.
Traction for business.
Love
it talks about stressing your company, stressing it, making sure that you can go away for a month. Now, I love to work, so I have really big issues leaving my laptop because of everything I like to do. Sure. But my husband and I talk about this all the time. We have to stress our business all the time. So every month we'll stress it. And then like last year we went to Greece for 2 weeks and we'll stress it and we'll stress it longer and longer. Like next year we're going to go for a month. And what you're doing is you're trying to poke holes in your business so that you can go, where are my flaws? Because if you're not stressing it and you're always there, then you don't know what your business can actually handle. And so what's so important about this is, and we set our teams up the exact same way, like our managers. Okay, how do we stress you leaving? How do you stress this? We actually lay out our entire company where if someone leaves, someone can jump in. Like training and making sure that we're all able to take vacation and step away and not have to stress.
And if you want to work while you're gone, do it. Same thing like if someone said, hey, we're going on vacation for 30 days. I'm like, no offense, I don't know if I want to be with my kids for that long or my wife for that long. Definitely not my family for that long or my in-laws for that long. So I think like a week, I'm good.
Yeah.
Right?
So my husband could go for 30 days and he could be on a beach and relax. Yeah. I'm like crawling and going, where's my laptop? But I want to work to create. It's not, I have to work. Does that make sense? There's two different things.
Yeah. Well, have to versus want to are two completely different things. Right. And so that's huge. So with your businesses and what you're doing, what does that look like? How do you go from being an entrepreneur and a business owner and doing it yourself and grinding it out and the sweat brim and doing all that stuff to hiring those people and putting them in the right place to be successful? I want to fast forward through that to where you said, I call it like cross training, right? To where I think a lot of us, like my whole thing was, and I still say this out loud today, I'm like, okay, so if my COO Dory goes out of town, it might take 2 or 3 people to do her job, just so you know, make very clear. Not just like, this one person can do it. Yeah. It might be 2 or 3 together to be able to fill X. And every division, every department, so marketing and sales and production and admin, if someone wants to go out of town, it should be a go for it, let us know when, and we got you, and we do not skip a beat. But if you put all of your blood, sweat, and tears into that person and you don't have a plan B or a B person or multiple persons to help fulfill that, that is a huge issue where people will leave and they're stressed out going out of town. They feel terrible going out of town. They feel like they're letting us down going out of town. Instead of like, dude, leave your phone, leave your laptop. Bro, guess what? This company ain't going to crumble if you go out of town for a 3-day weekend or for a week or even for a month. It shouldn't. No one person should have that much, I don't want to say power, but be so dependent on that one person. That's just a lack of training. What are your thoughts on that?
I just spoke on this in Vegas. I was at a conference, I was speaking, and my main question was, if you ended up in a coma for 30 days, what would happen to your business? What would happen if your controller ended up in a coma for 30 days? Heaven forbid it ever happened. But so my whole mindset about 5 years ago is where I walk into the business and what happens if I'm gone in a coma? No one can even reach me. There's no possibility. I'm done. I'm in a coma knowing what would happen. And so I started going, okay, what has to change? And so I was like, payroll has to get off. Certain things. So I transformed where if I'm gone for 30 days, not a big deal. It runs. Then I went to, okay, what if my property manager's gone for 30 days in one of my businesses? Because in property management, a lot of times people go one property management over 200 doors and they do everything. I was like, hell no, because then that stresses the business. So I laid out and I rampaged the business, restructured it, and said, okay, there's 4 people to 400 units. And the PM, assistant PM, a resident specialist, and a maintenance liaison. And so I restructured it. So when I walk into the business, and every entrepreneur should do this, if that person's in a coma for 30 days, what happens to my business? Because a business should be a living, breathing organism that gives life to many. And if you chokehold it by any one person, it's not giving life. And it actually is a detriment. So walk into the business and go, okay, who has to change? What has to change? Because if there's a person where if they're gone for 30 days and your business shuts down, then that doesn't work.
It's a hole. It's a big hole.
And so you should be poking holes in your business every day.
Okay, but I want to touch on that because we think of like us as the business owners. If I leave for 30 days as the business owner, what happens? Well, that would be the number one goal, right? To like replace yourself, right? The second tier of that is the lead in each department. What does that look, if that lead goes away, like I said, that property manager, not Tiffany or Daniel or whatever, like if your number one go-to person in that department goes into a coma for 30 days, what happens?
So like my org chart, it's like me and then a regional and then, well, a GM, then a regional, and then my PMs. And so what I do is every day I look at payroll, I look at my bottom line, I look at my net and what it has to be. But every day I go in and I say, what has to change? Because if I have to step back into a position, that's not a business.
Right.
It has to be so Tetrisy and so checkers or what's the other game? Anyways,
chess.
Chess. It has to be so played out where you're playing offense, not defense. Because there are going to be people that leave you. They level up. They want to start their own business. Great. And we promote that. But if that person leaves, how does that affect your business? And you have to think about that.
It's not even if that person leaves. It's when that person leaves. They might be there 6 months. They might be there 6 years. And I mean, I don't know how many people have lifers like, oh, they've been there for 27 years. Like,
I don't think that's really legitimate these days.
It's not realistic.
No.
And if you have a unicorn that's like that, great, wonderful. Yep. But let's not bank on unicorns, right? And so just in general, right? Like, what does that look like when a certain department leaves? Like, I started doing that with my production manager. He actually had a brain bleed. He's no longer with us. Not literally. He's alive.
Okay.
But that was like two things at once. He 2 years ago, he had a brain bleed. He was in the hospital in and out for at least 30 to 60 days, right? And put a major stress on my production team. Well, I was smart enough to be like, hey, there were certain things that he did that nobody else knew how to do. And I was like, hey, there was 5 underneath him, 5 supers, for lack of better words. I said, hey, between the 5 of you guys know how to to order roofs and do payroll for the crews and do this and do this. Like, yeah, we got it. Cool. So at 30 to 60 days, nobody even knew that he was gone. And I was like,
yes, that's a win.
Oh my gosh.
That's a huge win.
But the year 2, when I first started, year 2, if he left,
it would have been hell.
Oh my gosh. Well, then hell, or I got to freaking do it.
You would have gone back in the position.
So I still have to do marketing. Yep. I still have to do sales. And I got to freaking dispatch crews at freaking 3:30 in the morning or the night before. I have to order, 10 roof loads. I have to drop off trailers, pick up checks, do quality control. And I'm like, apart from still do my job and be a dad and be a husband and be in the community, it's like, bro.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
And so that's why you got to have, the whole goal is to get your first person. Let me ask you this.
Okay.
Coming from as a female and because you're not like in the blue collar trade necessarily, but like
I have a business that is.
I know, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
like,
I know what you're saying.
But I'm who's your first in a blue collar business? What's the first hire? You start a business. I got an LLC. Okay, it's me.
So I get this question a lot.
Yeah, who's your first hire? And why?
Am I starting the business? Is it just me right now?
Yes.
So it's my first hire.
Yes.
So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to figure out, am I good at operations or sales? Okay. So which one do I love to do? And then I'm going to put myself there and I'm going to put the opposite person on the opposite side. Because if I am, because sales is the bloodline to the business. If you don't have sales, you don't have a business.
Right.
So either you got to decide, if you love sales, hire someone for operations, make sure operations is handled. Sure. If you love operations, hire someone for sales because you better have clients coming in. And so other people, young entrepreneurs are always like, well, I can handle it for so long. Yeah, the moment you handle it for so long and then you start crashing, that's not what you want. So hire that first person has to be the opposite of what you are.
The story of State 48 Roofing starting, so it was my wife and I. My wife chose to. I said, hey, do you want to be office manager? And she's like, no. She's like, well, if I do, like, I can't be a great mom and be an office manager at the same time in a startup. You just can't. There's the amount of hours you have to put into a business still while trying to be a mom with existing kids and have more kids. It just doesn't make sense. And it sounds miserable. She's like, yeah, I'll pass. So I literally just put a post up on Facebook and I said, hey, looking for an office manager. It's literally what I did. Dude, 90% of my hires are from social media.
That's amazing. I'm not gonna lie, that's amazing.
I didn't even know how to spell Indeed. Like, no joke. That's serious. Anyways, so Dory comes along. She was actually, I was roofing and she was restoration, and I catered to her.
Oh, that's amazing.
And she was an office manager for a restoration company.
Oh.
Anyways, became work friends. She left the restoration world. Our kids went to the same school for a little bit, so we stayed just in touch. Facebook buddies. Put that post up there. She's like, "Hey, let's chat." And I'm like, "Okay." 5 years later, she's still here, right?
That's awesome.
But the point of it being was, you said the question going back was, who's your first hire? And you said, are you the sales guy or girl, or the operations guy? And for me, mine was sales and marketing.
Yeah, yours is definitely sales.
Although the wild part is that I came from operations. Right?
Yeah, but anybody talking to you would know that you're sales.
Yes. Yeah. But I started, I take it back. I started in operations and I finished in sales. So that's fair. So I did production by myself slowly for 5 years, then went into sales for the last 3.5, and then GM for 6 months, and then got, left, for lack of better words. But I knew that. I was like, cool. I don't want to do all the scheduling, all the clerical stuff, all the back end stuff, the taxes and the payroll and all that stuff. Like, not my jam. I hate it. I don't like it whatsoever. So I found somebody that, like, I don't like talking to people,
Yeah.
I don't like being the face of anything. I love spreadsheets. I love doing all the back end stuff. My jam, like, you're hired. Let's go. So that's huge that you say that you, like, do an audit of yourself of, like, which one of these are you good at? Because if you have 2 people that do sales, your operations are going to die.
Yeah.
And if you're 2 operations, you're not going to have a business.
No,
like,
and
you will not have any revenue.
What's interesting, usually young entrepreneurs go, they put people in the job they like to do because they feel like no one wants to do what they don't want to do. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And that's not what should happen. You have to look inward first because someone loves what you don't like what you don't like to do. And when you bring in 2 people that are complete opposites and really can work together, then you get the best machine. But the problem is entrepreneurs look at it as a less in revenue and, it's taking a hit to my bottom line. And
how do I afford that?
Gosh, you can't. Yeah, you have to afford it. It's not a choice. It's a decision that has to be made to make sure your company stays alive. Right. That's what it is. Sales are the bloodline, and operations is so important. But without sales, you don't have operations. It just is what it is.
How long have you been a business owner?
I've been a business owner since 2010, and it was a brutal, brutal start.
So 15 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
2013 was when our first company really was born. That actually went off
over a decade.
Yeah.
Right. So that being said, so as in the beginning and the startup and all that fun stuff, what did it look like we talked about this thing called KPIs, key performance indicators. So none of us knew what that was when you started a business, by the way. Most of us don't know what that is or what it stands for or what they are or why they're important. What does that journey look like for you in the decade of business you've been doing and cranking? When did KPIs come into your life and become a priority and a non-negotiable, and how has it helped your business?
Ooh.
We could talk for 8 hours. We can do an entire day of KPIs. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe I'll throw an event and call it KPI.
We could.
KPI Con.
Oh my gosh. No, seriously.
And we'll get like a gajillion people in the room.
What you say is a sexy business. True business isn't sexy if you do it right, but it becomes sexy because of the money you make because you do it right.
Yes. This is the sexy part, guys. Yes. High five. You know what the not sexy part is? I let 6 people go last week.
Ouch.
Within 48 hours. That shit ain't sexy.
No, it's not, but it's truth.
Dude, it is what it doesn't change. That's just tell people. Some people say, don't put it on social media that you let 6 people go.
Why?
Like, guess it just social status, or you're gonna get judged, or like Jason's a fake or a fraud. I'm like, I didn't say I'm closing my doors and screwing people over.
No,
I just said instead of having 80 employees, I now have 54 or 74. Like whatever, right? But the point of it being, like with the KPIs, why is it so important to have it in your business early and to recognize them and to always be tweaking them?
Well, first, let me tell you, I didn't have them in my business early. I started my business out of necessity. I was on food storage. I had no heat in my home. I had no food in my fridge. I had lost 20 pounds. I looked anorexic. I mean, I was on food storage and had a 3-month-old baby and was struggling. And got into real estate and started our first business. And so I was just in business trying to like make income.
Not die.
Not die. That's exactly, no, but seriously, that was it. And when I got into business, it was like, I was a hoarder. I just got to keep it. I don't want to go back there. And I remember this day like it was yesterday. And I was in a conference and someone on stage said KPIs. And I felt dumb as hell because I was like, what's that? And they were all talking about how important it was. And then I had a really good friend. And I love this guy so much. His name's Eric Weatherington. And he's really big in the industry. And I went up after him. I said, Eric, okay, you got to tell me what's going on with these things. Because obviously it's really important. And I don't know what it is. So, I mean, I felt dumb, guys.
I hate acronyms too.
I do too. I'm like, tell me what it means.
Yeah, like who created those letters? Like nobody, the only person that knows what those letters mean is the one that created it. Other than that, nobody knows. That's why I think businesses like ABC,
Oh my gosh.
roofing, it's like, what is the, or ABC's easy one, but like Q97 roofing, it's like,
what the hell?
I was like, terrible brand marketing. I'm like, whatever. But anyways, so KPI. So you're like,
so I went
what are these things called KPIs?
Yeah. And so we were talking about it. He's like, just, if you don't have KPIs, pick 3. Figure out 3 that you have to know in your business. And if you're
what are the 3 most important, stereotypically for any normal, but just
you need to know your conversion rate. If you were advertising where your leads are coming from, I would say, okay, go off of where your leads coming from, where you're closing your leads from, because that will tell you where you spend your money. So those are huge. And then DLER, you want to know and that one's a really hard one.
What's DLER?
It's a labor efficiency. So you want to know your labor efficiency, especially if you're in blue collar. Like if you're sending out a tech, you need to know how profitable he is. If he's not profitable, you're losing money. So like in the blue collar industry, I say DLER, you've got to know that. You've got to know your labor efficiency. And
I have a question for you. Talk about raw and vulnerable. I've never heard of that before in my life. Swear my life.
Okay.
DLER, KPIs. I'm like, yep, I know what those are. I have those metrics. They're in my CRM. I could pull your reports in seconds as soon as we stop pressing record.
But maybe you use it a different way. How profitable are each one of your techs? Do you know that number? Like if you send
how profitable?
Like each day, like what's the profit margin on your tech? What on average?
Well, that's kind of my thing is, so all my guys are piecework.
See, you're brilliant. You're brilliant in the blue collar.
They're not hourly.
Oh, so you're brilliant. But
that's why I think that's where I was like, the disconnect is.
That's the disconnect.
Yeah, because very simple for my guys. Like if you go out there, like it's a set labor amount, and I know that they are between, depending on what kind of job they do for roofing, they're between 28 and 32% of labor of my total gross profit goes to 28 to 32% goes to labor.
So like in maintenance, if you have your own techs, we need to make sure they're running at 80%. Because like, for instance, in property management, it's 3 to 5. You want to make sure your DLER is around 3 to 5. You can get that number. If you message me, I can show you the mathematical equation behind it. But anybody you hire in your team, like that will tell you if you're overhired or you're underhired. And if you, like, let's say payroll is 50% of your income, all of a sudden you're probably inefficient, you know? And don't get me wrong, I have run payroll at 50% because I was growing. But I would say sales is really important to know where your leads come, what your conversion rate is, and what your turnaround on money is. Like, because if you don't know those numbers, how are you supposed to know like when the money's coming, where to put the money in your ads? Like if you're closing 50% on Facebook, but you're closing 2% on YouTube, well, go to Facebook and put more money on Facebook, YouTube. You know? Yeah. So knowing those numbers are huge.
So knowing your numbers, so a lot of this really has to do with, it's not that you're a spreadsheet wizard. It has nothing to do with that. You really just have a CRM that can give you reports. Is that fair?
Yes, they can. But I'm a true believer in bad data in, bad data out. And so I actually have an audit team out in El Salvador that I have developed. So on all my companies, they audit every single number. We do daily reconciliations. My books are to a T every single day. So I can go in and see it. I got this idea from Tony Robbins, actually. He was like, when I buy a new company, at noon, I have reports on my desk. And I can see where anything is. That way, I can pivot very quickly if there's an issue.
On a daily basis.
On a daily basis. So I know where my companies are on a daily and actually on an hourly. So I have an El Salvador team that sends every team their KPIs and I see them. So I can see their goals, where they're at, and where they need to get. one of our metrics is answer rate. So the phone calls have to be answered a certain amount. In the PM world, it's 90% is really good because you have after hours, you have all these other things. We also track all email correspondence. I can know our average response time on email right now is 2.4 hours. You know, I mean, that's pretty cool.
You track email response time. Mm-hmm. That's wild.
Well, think about it. Okay. You know, my biggest issue.
How do you track email correspondence?
So in Gmail, you can't, right? Help Scout, you can. So Help Scout connects with Gmail, and you can track your response time.
But that's a CRM, though. That's a software.
It's a software. Yeah. It's a different software.
Yeah.
It's not a CRM, but yeah. And so what happens is my audit team pulls everything out of the softwares, brings it together, audits it, and puts it in Power BI and builds it out for me. Mm-hmm. Because like my biggest frustration with emails is when I would get a client or somebody say, well, they never responded to me, or something happened, and then I'm like, I gotta go into Gmail and freaking figure out what happened, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
that's a waste of my time. So we have different softwares that give us all the numbers, and then my audit team audits, make sure it's good data going in and good data coming to me.
So Evan Ritchie, coconut cleaning.
Yeah.
Right. One of my buddies was talking to me about something. I want to bring up two things that's very, very heavy on me right now. One of them was you have 86% chance of closing the deal if you respond within 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. So he talks about how you need to have somebody designated to respond, to delegate the call, the lead, whatever. Literally within 5 minutes, they have to be contacted. Yep. Even if you don't set an appointment, just contact it. Yeah. Right.
So on the sales side, 100%. They have to have a 99% answer rate. It's not, you don't not answer that phone.
Right.
Because it costs you money, right? Yes. That phone ringing, it's called.
Yeah, it's $125 a pop every lead, right? $175. I mean, you get sub 100, congratulations. But some are not. I ran one the other day that made me literally throw up. Not going to go into that one right now. But that was number one. And then number two said he had basically 4 categories. And one of them was, we don't like 1-star reviews. Blue collar guys. We don't like 1-star reviews, right? People talking shit about us and this and that. And he's like, no, you actually should, because at least you know what you did wrong. He said what the terrible part is that people that use your services never call you back. They don't leave you a good review or a bad review. They don't leave a review at all. And then they never call you again. They never use you again. And you don't know why.
Oh, you're talking about something big now.
We call it ghosting. Uh-huh. Right? And the thing that my goal in 2025 is to focus on getting 5-star reviews, but even better, just getting solid, consistent feedback from our clients. What worked, literally from our call center to my sales team, to my production team, to my crews, to my billing AR, break it down to those departments. And I'm going to create a survey. I'm already doing it right now. And it's going to be filled out and be like, hey, I'll give you a $10 Starbucks gift card if you fill this out and send it back to us. And then, if you leave us 5-star review, we'll put you in a raffle to get a 100-inch TV, whatever, bullcrap, right? But the point of it being, he's like, if you have, like I said, good data in, good data out, bad data in, bad data out, no data.
It's even worse.
That's worse.
It's worse. You have to have data. And you're talking about something I am incredibly passionate about, because 9 times out of 10, people are afraid to ask the hard questions. But the problem is you can't improve unless you ask that hard question. You're talking NPS score now, and
what is that?
Net promoter score. So
net promoter score.
Okay, so Apple.
Guys, I'm humble enough to be like, I don't know everything. And I need help. And Tiffany's my friend. She's like, I'll tell you where you're stupid. That's literally what that's literally all this podcast is about. Is like, hey, Jason, this is where you suck here, here, and here. And this is what Tiffany came in for. It's great.
It's interesting. Jason is a lot more successful. And I look up to you like a ton, like coming to you and be like, oh, what can I learn? That's why I come into your stuff. Because I'm like, oh, Jason's talking. What can I hear?
So tell me that acronym again.
NPS score. It's a net promoter score. So it's a 1 through 10. And what you do is you're talking right language and you send it out. And every single time my team is on the phone, they ask afterwards, hey, how likely are you to recommend Rosenbaum Realty Group, one of my companies, Rosenbaum Realty Group, to your friends and family? They give you an 8 or above, they will promote you. If they give you anything less, anything 5 or 6, it's nothing. Anything below, they're talking negative about you. And so the Net Promoter Score, Apple, Starbucks, all these big companies.
How do you get that information, by the way? Is it a software? Is it a...
I do it all manually
you
right
call
now.
You manually? Okay, so do you pay somebody in your office?
No, I train my staff. They don't have a choice. At the end of every freaking call, they have to ask that question. So no matter where we're at, and so
on the phone.
So
it's not an email survey. They click and send it.
Well, you can do that, and we did do that, and we still do that. But the response, I'm wrong on this. Every time I get one of those, I'm like, trash. I don't have time to do this. Trash. I don't have time to do this. I hate to say this, but I go through, or I have my staff go through some of my emails, my assistant, and it's like, throw away. And so I was like, how can we make sure we get this?
Well, you get somebody on the phone, you're going to get much more detail, much deeper conversation, and the real root. Because those guys are like, yes, no, A, B, 1-star, 5-star, and, other. And people are like, dude, like, I got shit to do. I don't want to leave anything in other. But if I call you back, hey, do you have 30 seconds? It might turn into 5 or 10 minutes. Yep. But that's literally what I want to do is I want to allocate somebody and just, or a VA or somebody, just be like, hey, we do it because we do 1,200 jobs a year.
Okay, so watch this. How many reviews do you get a year off of that?
So I just did this fucking yesterday. Oh, so funny you brought this up. Uh-huh. So we have done, I'm telling you the math right now. This is where so we have over 500 5-star reviews. Okay. Sounds cool. But we've done over 7,700 jobs. Now we do have repeats, but it doesn't matter. Well,
I see what you're saying, but
yeah. So 7,700 divided by 500, for lack of better words, that's 15%. So I only have feedback of 1-star or 5-star or in between. I only have 15% feedback of 7,700 jobs completed, checkmark, paid.
So I can say something. We switched in our business because we needed the reviews, because Google loves reviews, and if you get the reviews, your name comes up first, right?
Yes.
So last year I put out, it's been a year and a half in the making, but last year alone we got over 1,000 reviews. This is what we did. We said, okay, team, this is what we're going to do. Every single phone call you're on, you ask on a scale from 1 to 5, what would you rate me? They give you a 5. You say, hey, can you go over to Google? I'll send it to you. They give you a 5-star. I pay you $25. So I pay reviews. So I paid out a lot of money last year. But it's freaking worth it. Now we come up.
You pay your team member $25.
$25 every single time. So all my team members, we have about 45 now. All my team members, every single call, it's just robot. Now, there are some people that don't engage with guests or residents, which would be our accounting team and other things. But
sure.
Yeah, it's.
But sales, admin, production guys, yep.
My leasing team, holy crap, the amount of money I paid them out. I'm like, maybe I need to go into leasing. But I have someone that gets literally 10 to 20 reviews a week.
But you have mega freaking feedback of what's working and what's not working. So do you have a questionnaire? They it's the same questions, or it's just like, hey, because you get a 5-star review. In my opinion, they give you a 5-star review because the overall experience. So I just taught my team or my mastermind last week. Mm-hmm. Literally this past Tuesday, called The Experience. And every category, wrote down all the categories that you have in your business, 5 to 7 categories, from call setting to marketing to your call setter to sales, production, admin, ARs, literally to getting that 5-star review. And the overall experience may have been a 5-star, or they'll give you a 5-star because nobody wants to give you a 3-star, because then they're like, well, then almost they feel like they're going to get yelled at or attacked for giving you a 3-star. But the overall experience may have been a 5-star, but one department was really a 3. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know what that is, and they just leave you a 5-star review, you don't know where that 3 was. You can't get better. So you have no data instead of that's why I'm like, no, I want to know, was my call setter, was she nice? Did she answer the phone on time? Did she get back to you on time? So I'm going to have 2 or 3 questions for each of the 5 departments. Mm-hmm. And hey, this is really, really important to us. And now I can't do all of them, but I'm going to show my team how to do them. Mm-hmm. One of my biggest things is going to change it, because going back to Evan Ritchie, my man, my buddy, who taught me this. And he said, Jason, he's like, we spend so much money on marketing and advertising. And instead of just going back to our organic referral list and going back to our current leads and getting their feedback and fixing that.
You got to fix that first, because Apple and all the big companies will tell you, and there's data behind this. Just by asking the question, you are perceived better because you're shown that you're caring.
Yes.
So all of a sudden your customer goes, oh, they do care. So I mean.
They just took my $20,000 for the roof. No. Yeah. I want to know if so-and-so peed on the side of your house or, threw something off and scratched your car, or not even that, just like showed up 30 minutes late, didn't show up at all, took a 4-hour nap or whatever. Like, dude, I want to know that information so that we can train it, we can get better. Tim Grover talks about this in his book, right? Good old Tim Grover, friggin' G, right? So I don't think it was Relentless. It may have been Winning. Either way, one of his 2 books talks about how Michael Jordan, like those guys, they're the top 1%. Well, if you're top 1%, how do you get better? You can't get 10% better if you're at the top 1%. He's like, no, you're talking about like top 0.0001% better that day, that game, that practice, that whatever. And they talked about how Michael Jordan, because he's playing games, on the East Coast at 7, 8 o'clock at night, he's, the game's ending at 10 p.m. and he ate dinner at 3 or 4 o'clock. So he's 6 hours, fourth quarter, and he's on empty or he's draining. And it literally came down to him like increasing his like a sirloin steak or whatever every day and tracking his diet and whatnot. Do you remember the story? He literally had to increase it from like 8 ounces to 11 ounces or 8 ounces to 10 ounces, like 2 ounces of protein to keep that, that density, I guess, for lack of better words, to push through that fourth quarter. And that's how like macro tracked it was from his diet. And they tweaked that. And it was that one little edge that they needed, but they were tracking it. Mm-hmm. Like, well, I don't know what his diet is. I don't know if it's good or bad. It's like he has a great diet, cool. Or he has a bad diet, like, he eats shit. He eats the same shit every single day. No, he eats good, cool. Well, this isn't working or you need to tweak it. So they're like, you need to be data obsessed because that is where you can tweak your business. I have crazy failed my roofing company in general. We still did $12 million last year. We're not stupid, but I'm just thinking like, what if we tweaked a couple things and we could have done 13 or 15 million, or we go from 12 to 13, but that 13 is 20 or 30% net profit instead of 10 or 10% profit instead of 0.
Well, what you measure grows. What you don't measure doesn't. What you look into, like anything you have in your company, you got to track. You got to measure. Like, and if you're not, one thing that I find so crazy is how many entrepreneurs don't look at their P&L. I ask this almost every conference I go to. How often do you look at your P&L? And that's where I know where they're at in their numbers, because they don't look at their P&L, they don't got KPIs. So that's the first thing.
What is P&L? I know this one. Yes, finally. This is the 4th thing she's asked. She said KPIs I knew. She asked 2 other ones I had no freaking clue. And then she said P&L. P&L stands for, ladies and gentlemen, profit and loss statement. I know what that one is. I've seen one in my business at least more than once in 5 years, right? That's funny.
You know what I love, though, is that you bring it out and you tell your viewers what it is, because we all had to learn it. I didn't know what it was at one point. Someone told me.
Dude, literally, Google
is my best friend.
What does P&L stand for?
Yeah.
And why is it important in my business? And then you watch the video, and then you do this.
Or ChatGPT it, and then it'll give you a whole freaking list.
Yes, that's what it comes down to. Hi, Toad. Okay, talk about being an entrepreneur and being a business owner. My daughter is here right now. We're going to bring her on camera. Come here, Toad.
Oh, she's adorable. Hi.
Come here. Come sit. Come here. Okay. What is it?
Aww.
Oh, it's a State 48 roofing.
I freaking love that.
Horse? Is it a horse?
It's a cow.
Oh, it's a cow. It's a cow. State 48 cow. So, talk about marketing and branding. So, we're doing roots and boots for the Queen Creek Rodeo.
Oh my gosh,
and
that's amazing.
We had to roll out like 300 products and this and that. Dakota, take picture of that. That's freaking money. That's
okay, so that's another thing. Like your marketing budget compared to revenue. That's what people. You gotta dial that in so much, because if you're not marketing, you're not growing.
Well, so let me flip it on you. My biggest mistake in 2024 was, apart from it not raining and my revenue like tanking because of lack of consistent rain.
Yeah.
Which is, that part's out of my control, but my marketing is in my control. Mm-hmm. Is I was saying yes to everyone and everything. Will you sponsor this? Will you sponsor that? Will you 500 here, 5,000 here, 2,000 here, 100 here, 250 here, lunch and learn here, blah, 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 blah. And everyone's like, yes, Jason, we'll spend your money and do all these sponsorships. And dude, like I almost destroyed my business because I was freaking saying yes to I wasn't tracking what was working and what wasn't working. And like, hey, we can only invest this much money this month for this one thing, or for marketing. We can sponsor this much dollars. And if it's one event for $5,000, let's say it's $5,000 a month, right? I was like 20,000 a week. So yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, holy shit. And I'm like, how come I don't profit? Well, your marketing budget was all of your profit and your normal marketing budget. And it took me like 3 hours late at night from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. just sitting by myself in front of a freaking big ass computer like this in my conference room by myself, and a Monster and a freaking meal prep, and just cranking it out.
But you know how often businesses do that? Either they don't spend anything or they spend to everything yes. And in reality,
I was a yes man for marketing.
Oh, I've done that. Everybody's done that.
Yeah. But stereotypically, especially in small business, especially in startups, they don't go where I did, right? Because I have the sales and marketing piece. I'm like, dude, brand awareness, omnipresent motherfucker. Like, you will not know who I am, right? You hear State 48. If you haven't heard me, like that, I take that especially in the Southeast Valley. If you haven't heard State 48 roofing, I take that very freaking personal. Like, that's how much brand awareness I want and I'm doing.
Amazing at brand awareness. Like,
yes, but is it worth it going out of business for? No. And that was the mistake that I made in 2024 is I was just like, yes, we'll do this. Yes, we'll do that. Yes, we'll sponsor this. And like saying yes to everything and getting more biz dev people to do more lunch and learns, to do more sponsorships, to do more events, to the factor where I'm like, holy shit.
What's coming in from it though?
Right. Well, and like, is it working or not working? I ran one, like I said, I'll tell you off camera. This one I won't tell you guys. It's that embarrassing and like, holy shit. But like I ran a report of like what I was spending for a particular department and how much we were spending for this, plus their spiff, right? Their commission for it. These three different numbers that create this magical number. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, that's just a number. And that number was about $250,000 a year. I'm like, cool, that's fine. Doesn't hurt my feelings. What's my ROI? Return. I know that one. Return on investment, right? What's your ROI? Like, is it, so you spent $240,000. Did you get $240,000 back? If you get that back, is that good or bad? Well, it really depends. Some yes, some no, right? Oh, she got another one. Yeah. My wife's been like going crazy, getting like all these little trinkets. Let me see.
Oh, I love it.
This is for my truck. Oh, it's an air freshener. Give it to Tiffany. Give it to her.
Oh, can I smell it? Can I smell it?
Yeah.
Oh, that smells so good.
Car air fresheners.
You are beautiful, girl.
Is this for
love
me?
it.
I'm gonna put it. I was gonna put it around my neck, but it probably won't fit, huh? Nope. I'll put it on my wrist like this.
That's for your truck.
For my truck?
Yeah.
Well, do you want to go put it in my truck, or are you good? I'll just hold it like this. Do you want the cow? No. No? Okay.
You know what? I gotta say, you're freaking amazing. You know how many dads would have said, "Hey, just wait." And instead, she comes in and you address her and you're with her. And dude, I have not always been that way, and neither was I. I made that very freaking clear. I was like, "Hey, shh," or "Stop," or "Hey, Dakota, press stop." Yeah. Ask him. He's been with me for a few years now. He knows that. I'd be like, "Yeah," like he was. No. My kids, my wife comes in here. All you fuckers, shut up. My wife's in here. We stop. We address not an issue. Because she's not going to bug me if it's not a thing. My 3-year-old doesn't know any different, right? That I'm on a podcast. I think it's cute, though. I think, right. But you're showing her she's your number one.
Dude, that's all she wanted to do. Yeah. How excited was she just to come show me a State 48 roofing cow?
I think it's amazing.
But I'm going to suppress that because I'm on a podcast? Like, dude. Yeah, no. I was like, but I was not that guy that dad or husband for a long time. I would press decline. My wife would call me. I'm like, I'm in a meeting. I'm into this. I'm into that. Right. And I'm like, dude, I was like, wait, if she is my number one, how come I'm letting male or female? Why am I letting that person in that chair be number one? Mm-hmm.
No, it's true, right? Though.
There's a time and a place for that, too. Make that very freaking clear.
Yes.
Of like, she may have texted me or called me saying, hey, we're going to come drop off the cow. My phone's sitting right here. She can't get a hold of me. She also knows my calendar.
Yes.
So like, hey, he's in a podcast, not available. Cool. Right. But my 3-year-old's like, dude, I don't care if you're unavailable, right? Like, I get to see my dad and show him something super cool. You guys will all shut up. You guys will all listen. You guys will, and what was that, 30 seconds, 90 seconds?
It's not a big deal.
She's not like distracting for 30 minutes.
No, I love it because it shows, first, you're human. Second of all, you have a family. Third of all, you know your priorities. And I wasn't always like that. I would tell my kids, shh, I'm in a meeting, and I'm working at getting better at that. Like last night, I did really good. I was really proud of myself. I didn't tell my kid to stop playing the piano. I said, I'm in a meeting, and I said, hey, you're going to hear my son play the piano. He's playing. I'm not going to tell him to stop because he's rocking out. And I was really excited about it. But at the same time, I knew they could hear it. But a
lot of therapy, by the way. That was a year and a half of therapy to make that happen.
You know what? I think therapy is so important. We could talk about that alone. Entrepreneurs need an outlet.
Yes.
They need to be able to vent. They also need to be able to calm their mind and have a moment to be able to process everything. Because so often we are go in our minds.
Totally.
If we don't learn how to center ourselves and go, okay, where am I at? What do I need to be? And be present, we can actually run ourselves out of business not even thinking about it.
There you go. Okay, well, I'm going to stop you there because we can go back into KPIs. If we do that, we'll be here for another hour.
I know, right?
but the principle of it, like just wrapping up that comment before my daughter came in, how much money you're spending on marketing, like you need to set a budget. And if you set a budget and then you go with it, you can always increase or decrease your budget. But if you don't have a budget, you don't know how much you're spending. It's where you can say, that's not enough, we need to beef it up.
Yeah.
Or, hey, that's too much, we need to turn it down. Right? But what you don't know, you don't know. And if you're not tracking it, simple stuff. A CRM, very simple, easy to read. CRMs can do that. QuickBooks can do that. Like it's not rocket science. It's freaking do your own manual spreadsheet if you need to. Some guys are like, I want this techie $5,000 a month software and CRM and all that stuff. I'm like, bro,
stop.
I did my first. Some people don't believe this. I did my first $1 million on a Google Calendar.
Oh, we didn't have a CRM for years. Yeah. Because now I don't know if that was the smartest thing for us, but we didn't.
We didn't say it was smart. We just did it.
But I think today you're talking about something that's so incredible. About one of my clients, I'm like, stop buying software. You're gonna buy yourself out of business. Yeah. The new shiny thing needs to stop. Know your numbers.
Well, and I think there's a time and a place for manual like data entry. Yes. There's room for errors. Cool. At least you have room to make an error. But people that just keep buying these softwares and buying this is gonna fix this and AI is gonna fix this and like, dude, I was like, no, it's not.
No, because bad data in is bad data out.
Well, we follow each other on social media. I did that video about Trump on Monday. I'm like, oh, Trump's been here for a week. Did you lose your 20 pounds? You didn't? Oh, wait, you didn't make another $100,000 because Trump's been here for a week? Dude, that motherfucker is not going to save you. No. Stop acting like he is. No. Right? Now, he's going to help the country in several things. He's already killing it and doing great. High five. But that's not the point. Yep. Like on a macro level, like he's not going to help me become a better dad and say, hey, Dakota, shut the door, lock the door, don't let my daughter in because I'm on a podcast. Trump's not going to do that. Right? So stop letting, like, you got to dumb it down to realize that like you got to own your shit. And when you're not doing something right, we'll end with this because I'm a coach and so are you. Like, but I also spent 6 figures for several years on mentorship and still do for mentorship because I want the shortcuts. Not to an ethical way, but I want to know the mistakes they made so I can make them at a smaller number and earlier on in business and not 10, 15 years down the road because that's how you can bury a business. If I would have had my marketing strategy in 2024 at 10 million as it did at 25 million, it could have literally put me out of business. Straight up. So like pay attention to people that are doing more than you. Go ask them. Do not say, can I take you to lunch? They don't want... It's the stupidest thing in the world. Pull out an envelope and give them $500 or $1,000 cash and say, "Can I talk to you for an hour?" Fuck yeah, sit down, and I'll bet you $100 out of that $500 that you give them. I'll bet you that they will. It won't be 1 hour. It'll be multiple hours, and it'll be multiple times without you bringing an envelope next time, because people want to help people.
They do,
right? But you also have to respect your time, and when we say, "Hey, can I take you to lunch?" I'm like, dude, like I have meal prep in my fridge. I got lunch. What do you need? And it cost me $10. Like I don't need a cool big ass steak. Like I'm good. What do you need?
Well, also when you have a schedule like that, you don't want to just go to lunch with anybody. You want to make sure your time is well spent and you're getting something out of it and you're helping people at the same time.
Bro, you only get 5 a week.
Yeah.
For business wise, you only get five 1 hour lunches. Like. Yeah, there's dinners and breakfast and whatnot, but like you get 5, it's like be very careful who you spend that time with and say, hey, can I take you to lunch? It's like you don't want to take me to lunch. You really just don't want to take, if you want to take me to lunch, like take me through a Chick-fil-A drive-through, give me my salad, my Southwest salad, and like, peace out.
Be intentional.
What do you want? Oh, I want to talk to you about business. Okay, cool. Well, one of two things. Either, yes, I'm going to help you out, or no, I'm not going to help you out, or I will help you out, but there needs to be some sort of like time for money, right? Exchange. Or, and some people are like, hey, come on in, sit down, and and it's more like the taker mentality, right? Like, is he really trying genuinely like to get feedback?
Yeah.
Or are they just trying to waste your time? And we know, we sniff it. We're like dogs. We sniff it from a mile away. But like, if you really want to get on people's radar, like cut them a check, or just humbly ask them what you could do to do better, or to get on your radar, or to get on your schedule. Like, what does that look like? How do I earn? I said this before. I said this to Tommy Mello. Hey, I want to earn 60 to 90 minutes on your calendar. How do I go about doing that?
That's a powerful statement. That's a powerful one. I like it. I like it a lot.
Well, I got your attention, right? Because like I don't. It's not given. No. And I mean, at the time I was like, dude, I don't have. I don't know your six-figure coaching program, whatever it is. Like, bro, I don't got that. I don't make that a year. Nor do I have that in my bank account. So that ain't happening. But I still want to earn your time. What does that look like? And he said, do this and this, and my life has changed forever.
That's amazing. But it's how you approached it, because people that are really successful, really, really successful, I hate to say it, 1 minute to them is very important. They're very strategic with their time. So don't waste it.
But they love giving too.
They do.
But they love giving to people that want it and that want to go for it, and they don't want to be taken advantage of or, be used. But they will bend over backwards to help you because they know where you were, and they're just, hey, that's me 3 chapters ago. That's me 3 years ago. That's me 3 commas and zeros ago. Whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So
that's how you are, though. Like, and I've noticed that as I've been around you, like, you really want to help people. So anybody that comes to you is going to be blessed.
So Alex Hormozy taught this to Nick, Coach Nikki T, my business partner, on my coaching side, and my best friend. And he says it all the time. And Hormozy taught this. He said, give away your information and your value for free. Pay to implement it.
100%.
That's literally what this podcast is. How many nuggets of how much money have you and I invested to give the nuggets that we did on this podcast? Like, I didn't pay you to come. You didn't pay me to come.
Nope.
Right? And so this is free. This is actually costing me. Take it back.
No, that's costing you.
This is not free.
Podcast is not free.
This mic is not free. This TV is not free. That cat in the back is not free. Right? Like,
and editing's not free. And
yes,
everything costs money here.
But even then, even then, I'm giving it while losing money, right? Indirectly, to do it. But like, if you want to do it, we have coaching programs that you can buy and invest in, to where we can, grow and scale your business and at a very fast rate. But like I said, don't be scared to give away your knowledge and give away your nuggets and give away that value. And then when somebody comes to you, help them implement it. That's when you get paid.
100%.
Some people are like, I don't want to give away the nugget. I don't want them to know my secrets. And I'm like, dude, like, tell them your secrets. They're still not going to fucking do it anyways.
But
right?
In reality, let's be honest here. No one has a roadmap. There are no true secrets. It's out there. You just have to implement it. And that's the big difference between people will just listen. You go to a conference. Let's take this example. You go to a conference.
Right.
How many people in a conference, they get motivated, they're all excited, they leave the conference and nothing. Okay?
They said 90, isn't like 97%?
Yes, it's huge. It's huge. So I always talk about, do not go to another conference until you implement. Yeah. The big difference between successful people and unsuccessful, the successful understand how to implement on a daily basis and change, and just go and run after that.
It was like there's 3,000 people in here, and 3% of you, that means 3 of you. Like,
it's so true.
Three out of the 1,000. That's what I'm like, dude. I was like, I'd rather just do smaller events and be like, hey, like, I'd rather help 5 of you out of the 25, or 5 out of the 50, instead of putting 1,000 people in a room and only 3 people are you gonna freaking do what I told you to. Yep. Like, that's annoying. So, as I let you go, quickly, what would be your number one nugget to a small blue collar entrepreneur that's in the middle of the grind, that's been cranking for a little bit, so it's not a startup, but they're also not, a 25-year-old business. They're, 3 to 5 years in, they're probably doing $500,000 to maybe $2 million at most, and they're hugging and chugging and grinding it out. what advice would you, as you are through that, for lack of better words, and you have different problems now, right?
Yep.
You make more money, you still have different problems. What advice would you give them?
If you're around 2 million, your problem is people, meaning you haven't created the culture you need to create. So at 2 million, you need to dive in and create the culture, and you need to make sure people are on your team that need to be on your team, and you need to dive in to make sure they have a roadmap to success. Because at 2 million, I know exactly where you're at. You are struggling with the people because you think it's a job, and to them, guess what? It's a job. They're going to leave you. If it's a culture, they'll stay for a long time.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Tiffany Rosenbaum, doing several things, everything real estate, and then some. Have you written a book yet?
No, I'm in the we're starting it. Yeah.
Can I? Okay, so Nick like helps people write books.
I would.
Okay, I'll introduce you to him.
I would love help.
He helped me write a book in like 90 days. My book, my 8 Phases to 8 Figures. He and I wrote that and published it in less than 90 days. Less than 90 days from scratch. Him.
That's like that's wow. That's impressive.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little dumbfounded right now because
no
writing a book is like very.
It's intimidating.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people make it sound like it's hard and whatnot. And they said only like 92% of people that actually write a book, only 8% of them actually finish it.
Oh, probably.
So
100%.
Yeah, I think it's in the 90%. It's like nobody finishes a book even if they ever start it. But so I was telling them to buy your book. When Tiffany finishes her book before the end of 2025, we're gonna do a podcast next year, and she's gonna bring her book. Oh, I'm totally calling you out. This is great.
Oh my gosh.
This is what friends do. So Tiffany's gonna write a book in 2025. She's gonna publish it. She's gonna bring me her first copy, and I'm gonna sign it.
Oh hell! Now I have to.
Now we're gonna do it.
No
and Nick's gonna help you write it.
Okay.
Number one. Number two. That was awesome. How can they get a hold of you for anything real estate related? Whether it's coaching, whether it's help, whether it's maybe partnering up in a deal or a portfolio. How can they get what's the best way to get a hold of you for that?
Hey, first, friends do what he does. Calls you out and makes you get shit done. Two, the best way to get a hold of me is Tiffany M. Rosenbaum on Instagram. All my social medias are the same.
Tiffany M. What's your
Rosenbaum.
middle name?
Martino.
Mm-hmm. Is that your maiden name or your middle name?
That's maiden name.
Martino.
My dad didn't give me a middle name.
You're a white chick, Martino?
I'm Italian.
Oh, it's Italian. Martino.
Mm-hmm. Martino.
See, I'm from Arizona. It's like Martino or Martina, right?
Yeah.
So Italian. Okay, that's awesome. Cool. So Tiffany M. Rosenbaum on Instagram. By the way, she if you want inspiration as a female entrepreneur, business owner, influencer, for lack of better words, all those things on Instagram. She's very active. You're very active. I love the content that you put out. It's inspiring. I don't follow a lot of people. It looks like I do. But I don't follow or comment or like a lot of people's stuff. But you're up there because I love the positivity. I love that you do your Go Ruck stuff with you and your husband, Daniel. And that's awesome. So if you want a positive influence, not influencer like the stupid ones that we know, but like a genuine person that is going after it with all that she got. I don't know if that was a terrible. I don't know that's right grammar. All that she has, all that she's got. Jeez Louise, that was bad. Follow Tiffany. Hit her up. Local here in Arizona. Thanks for being on. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Dave.
Cool. Adios.